Hello everyone, this is Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn & Wound. I'm at Watches and Wonders 2023 in Geneva, and I'm standing right outside of the TAG Heuer booth where we just had a meeting and saw the brand new CARRERA models. So CARRERA is obviously a line of watches that's been around since the 1960s. It's their kind of go-to chronograph. It's probably one of their most famous lines. People are very familiar with it. And over the last several years, they've done lots of different iterations of it, some more modern, some more vintage. And for 2023, they've really kind of merged the two together and kind of relaunched the watch a new sort of platform, which is the 39mm CARRERA, that's also being called like the glass box, but it's just the CARRERA 39mm. So what you have is obviously from the name the 39mm case, but if you're familiar with their previous launches over the years, the 39mm cases were always designated for the vintage inspired models and limited editions. So now they made the 39mm sort of a core case in the line, but it has much more sort of modern trappings to it. So it's got a 22mm lug width. It has this massive domed boxed sapphire crystal, which they do say alludes to watches from the 1970s with Hasselite crystals on it, but in the context of this watch, it looks incredibly modern because it runs absolutely edge to edge. So you have this huge dial on it. So it's a 39mm watch that wears very nicely on the wrist, but it's got broad shoulders and a full dial. So it still feels larger. So they still sort of kept the sort of like bravado of the modern CARRERA still alive there. But then the dial really also perfectly merges the old and the new as well. So you see aesthetically kind of a very straightforward sort of CARRERA look to it. You have applied markers on there, you have the text, you have the tachometer, but when you turn it to the side, you see that there is this really crazy sort of bowl-shaped chapter ring on there. Rather, the chapter ring is like a mountain and the dial is then a valley within it. And on the outside, the concave part of the bezel, which is riding the inside of this huge sapphire crystal, is where you have the tachometer printed. Then on the inside, the slope of it, you have the like minutes and seconds index. The hour markers, the applied hour markers, which look like they could be straight out of the 60s or 70s, actually curve a little bit for that as well. So it's all been like super modernized, but very tastefully, and just like honestly, it looks fantastic. Like, I'm still a little bit in awe just from seeing these watches. They were really cool. So there's two versions of the 39mm. One is all blue, gorgeous sort of metallic blue subdials on that, and that has a date at 6 o'clock. Then there is a metallic black with silver subdials, which has that sort of inverse panned effect, really kind of brings in some of those classic 60s models. And this one actually has the date at 12. So if you remember in 2020, they launched a limited edition CARRERA that had the date at 12, which was a really cool thing to see. Made sense on a limited edition because it's sort of like a little bit of a riskier thing to do. It's a little abnormal. The chronograph hand will block it when it's not running, so it has a little bit less maybe mass commercial appeal. But here they put it on an open model. This is a regular production model. And I think that's absolutely fantastic because watches like this, for me at least, need to have something kind of fun and quirky, and that's what Brent brings the character out. But they give you both options should you not like that. Inside of these is the TH20-00. So this is the newest evolution of the Heuer O2 automatic caliber, which it hasn't had that much of a change, but they did upgrade it to have a now bidirectional winding rotor. These are also column wheel movements. They're like 33 joules, 28,800 beats per hour, and 80-hour power reserve. So they're actually a pretty impressive automatic chronograph movement on there. So the Heuer CARRERA chronograph 39mm glass box, these come in at around $6,500 USD. It's $6,300 CHF. I think that's around $6,500 right now. Seems like a pretty good deal there. Once again, these are just really, really cool looking. You have to check them out in person. One of my favorite things I've seen so far at the show. But that's not all. Just to also, flex their muscles, they released a 42mm version of this that features a tourbillon. So it's one of their tourbillon chronograph movements. Same basic idea. You have this massive crystal, you have the sloping chapter ring on there, but at 6 o'clock you have this big tourbillon. Those ones come in something around $23,000, which is obviously a lot more, but it's an automatic tourbillon chronograph, which I believe is also chronometer rated. So that's kind of been a crazy movement and a crazy deal. Lastly, I can't tell you about what I saw, but I can tell you that they have insane stuff coming out later this year that I don't know what to say other than one of the coolest things I've seen so far at the show. I can't talk about yet, but stay tuned for later this year, and it's coming from TAG Heuer, which is really exciting. Please be sure to head to Worn & Wound Daily to check out more Watches and Wonders coverage, as well as just general watch coverage. Please give us a like and subscribe if you have the chance, and I'll see you soon.